Guys, I can't do anything right. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. So, as I was saying in the stream before, when I wasn't talking to you guys, I was like, I really hope there are no technical issues. Oh man. So, hi. It's so good to see you guys, like actually see you guys. I am so sorry for all of the mix-ups today. Yeah, it's Monday morning. Good times. So I'm really glad to see you guys. Thank you so much for being in the chat and hanging out and waiting for me. Let's jump into the challenge because my goodness, if you don't know how to join with the community and like all this stuff, just look at other challenges for how to do that because I want to get into this challenge and I'm so sorry for the time waste. Oh, okay, we've got like 15 minutes left. Let's do this, people. So I've been talking to Air for a little bit. This is this is what we're dealing with in terms of starter files. I gave you guys this image of a fox, and I want you guys to mask him out. So this is the original image, and I basically just used the lasso tool to get really rough selection, and then painted out some of the little fur bits. And this is what he looks like now. Now, when you're thinking of the image for this one, we're going for an ice effect, so it's got a reflection happening. And what we want from that is for the reflection to kind of meet the feet that are touching the ground. So when you're looking for an image, it doesn't have to be this particular one. It can be anything, honestly. Oh, hey guys. Oh, thanks for saying hi in the chat. Once again, I'm so sorry. But yes, so with this image, I've chosen it because the feet are touching the bottom so that we can create a reflection that really easily can like meet the top. So this is an image, but I also chose an illustration of mine that I kind of wanted to do the exact same effect with, but it's illustration for me because I'm an illustrator, but for you, if you're a photographer, if you want to use photos, please feel free to find anything that would match that kind of description where the feet are the bottom plane. So this is one of the foxes that I did on this little piece, and I wanted to mask him out just the same as the other fox. So basically, this one was pretty easy because the background is very solid. So I just selected out the background, inverse the selection, and then painted in some of the details just to make sure I didn't have like a black edge or anything like that. So we've got this fox, and he is ready to go on a background. I started with a gradient here that goes from a slightly darker blue to a lighter blue on top. And so you can see how this is going to be a very cool piece. This is going to be kind of an ambiguous background, but we're going to get that reflective quality to it soon. I added a little bit of white along the top with just a really big soft brush so that we could have a little bit of a chill and like an illusion of a horizon line in the distance. So that's the background basically that we've come up with. Now this it's like a reflective kind of surface appeal. So this was just using, you can see on the right, all of my favorite brushes in Photoshop. These are all Kyle Webster brushes, and you can see kind of just what I would do with this is zhuzh it from one side to the other. So using pressure sensitivity, you can get some of this. I used a slightly different brush before, but I love this brush so much. This is like one of my favorites. So basically just using diagonal lines and going from like a thick and a hard press down to a thinner and lighter kind of stroke. That's the idea behind these guys. So let's jump forward to our fox. So this is the same selection, I've just moved him up slightly. However, today the whole focus is adjustment layers. D-Ross says thank you to me. Oh, I'm so glad that it's working out. And let's see here. So we've got this fox, but he's not really fitting the color scheme. He is very bright and sunny, and I kind of want him to be a winter fox where it's like cold. And this is where the adjustment layers come in. Right down here with this half circle, that's where all of your adjustment layers live. Now, some of my favorite color tools, I think I mentioned this last week actually at some point, color balance, hue and saturation, and selective color are my three favorites for color adjustments. So these are all contributing to changing the actual colors of whatever piece you're doing, and also they have some side effects. So especially with color balance, you're going to find that it ups the saturation the more you change the color. So those are just like, you know, there are side effects to every layer adjustment, and you just have to be aware of them so that you can counteract them with other layer adjustments. So we're going to start with the most powerful tool when we're talking about color, and I'm going to clip it to the other, the fox layer. so that will only affect the fox's colors. And why I say hue and saturation is the most powerful is because if you just use this hue slider, you can see it changes all the colors dramatically and very, very quickly. So we're going for cooler. So what do you think of like purpley blues? I think that would be perfect. Now he's a little too hot for me, which means too saturated in my opinion. And you can really get in here and choose any color you want where it's like, okay, let's change the reds to a little less saturated. Yeah, that actually does a pretty good job. Usually reds are the most saturated part of a picture. For some reason, reds just go hot really quickly. And using these tools more and more will give you a better eye for what is too saturated and not saturated enough. And again, I would love for you guys to go too far to one side and really figure out like what is too much, what is the color you don't want, because that's just as important as the color you do want. And I especially like between the blues and the purples, it can be really like a touch where you're just like, oh, just this much this way will really change the look of it. So we've got a basic change of color, but I want to finagle it a little bit. So that's where color balance comes in. And I'm also going to clip that by pressing Alt and hovering between the two layers. I can use it as a clipping mask. So let's go to color balance, and you can see there are 3 different options for shadow, midtone, and highlights. So if I want to change the lightest colors to be slightly different, then I can go in here and finagle them all day long. That's a very technical term, by the way, finagle. So you can see that you can pretty much do this all day long, like figuring out exactly what touches of color you want in your animal or your picture or whatever you're working with. But I'm pretty happy with these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift select all of them, put them in a group because I am overly safe, you guys, like really overly safe. And I'm going to duplicate this group and collapse it. So now I've got a flat version of the fox and a grouped version of the fox. So if I ever want to go back and undo any of the color changes or slightly irk them which way, then I can go back to this group and collapse it. But as it is right now, I think I'm pretty happy with this fox. But what I want to do is duplicate it. So you can do Control or Command J, or you can Alt drag. And I'm going to transform him. I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and I'm going to flip him vertically. So now he's an upside down fox. We've got 2 fox brothers, and they're upside down from each other. So you can see the feet are pretty close to each other, but I'm gonna transform this just a little bit more, like a little touch to the closer side so that we get a little bit more of a connection point. They're not gonna be touching, but they're gonna be close. And here's a trick when you have the transform tool up. You can use the control, if you're pressing control down and you use one of the corners, they kind of free float, see? So if you're really close to getting something in the right spot but just aren't getting it for some reason, you can always use control and it will finagle those points. We're doing a lot of finagling today, guys. So next step for this guy is he's pretty apparent, where it's just like, okay, here's a fox and here's the reflection. Done? No, not right. So what we're gonna do is create a mask. Boom. So it's an empty mask right now, but I'm gonna fill it with a gradient tool that goes from black to white. And that's going to create a fading effect. Boom. So quick, so easy. And then I'm going to Alt duplicate this, so it's got the exact same stuff. It's the same fox upside down, but also the same mask. And then what I'm going to do is go to one of our favorite tools, go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And I'm just going to have it go like that. So we've got this kind of glow effect, but I don't want it to be by the feet here, so I might just flip that mask. Whoop. Oh, whoops. Beautiful. Actually, I can press F and go into a mode that it doesn't cut you off in any way. It's just free floating within the program. So that's a handy dandy tool there. I actually think what I want to do is go back. I'm going to delete this layer. Actually, I'm going to duplicate this one, the same one that we had before, but I'm going to apply the layer mask. All you have to do is right click and say apply layer mask. That means that it's permanently masked out exactly the way I wanted it to be. Now I'm gonna go to Gaussian blur, exact same as I wanted. And now I can mask out the feet a little bit. Do you guys see what I'm doing there? It's like this, there's still a blur, a missing fox at the bottom. It fades out at the bottom, but then I don't want the blur at the feet because the feet are the crispest part. And then I want it to blur as it goes further away. All right, I'm gonna lower the opacity of, I think, both of these just a little bit so that we get this like ethereal gauzy quality to it. And we can add more effects to it. We can do all sorts of stuff. One of my favorite things to do to take away some of the details of the below fox, because it is a reflection, is just clip a multiply layer to it and fill it with some kind of like bluish color. Let's see what that does. So it took away some of the details and darkened it a bit. And we could also try out normal and see what that's like. So you could just lower the opacity of that, and it's creating just a gauzy layer of color that blocks out what is being lost by the reflection. All right, so this is the process for today using layer adjustments. I hope you guys learned something from this. I know that it was super quick and super disjointed, but I really want you guys to try this out and use whatever image you find most useful for you, whatever gives you the winter feels or feels like it should be on ice. I'm so looking forward to seeing what you guys create. I hope I gave you enough instruction. If you have any questions at all, please ask me in the Discord and I will tell you all about any little part of this. And thank you so much for being patient. I will be here for sure at the right time tomorrow and make sure that it all works. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.